Okay, what can we say about this car? Well, the first thing that springs to mind is the dials on the instrument cluster. They're quite stylish in many ways. Pretty easy to read once you get used to the shape of them. The dashboard, very stylish, very attractive, very simple, very elementary, very easy to operate whilst driving. This is the 6-speed manual. That's 60 miles an hour now, so this is by no means a fast, powerful car. Brakes, not bad at all, but the car really does dip. When you brake, it goes down a considerable amount. In fact, one thing I noticed is this car does wobble about a bit. If you give the steering that little bit of a shake, this car is all over the place. I would not want to be chucking this car around corners, and I most certainly would not be wanting to swerve in this in an emergency. Another thing I've just realised is the seating position is a little bit odd. I've tested this, I've taken it to the lowest possible level, and the steering wheel's still very low beneath me. It's not quite as bad as some cars, but I prefer it if I can get down a bit lower. You know, the steering wheel's too far down. The wing mirrors on this are great, they're huge, you can see everything. The rear view vision, very good. A little bit of obstruction from the headrests, but generally speaking, very good all around. Very good vision. A-pillar could be a little bit narrower, but it's not too bad, it could be worse. Steering is very light. This car's quite responsive. It's got nice tidy steering actually, but it's too damn wobbly, and you know, it's quite a high up vehicle. The shocks could be a little bit firmer on this. The seating in the back is very roomy, very airy, and you have an absolutely enormous amount of headroom, so this is definitely a good vehicle for getting lots of people around. 6-speed manual, even though it's not a big engine. It'll fly down the motorway, cruise down the motorway very nicely indeed. Obviously Toyota, they've got themselves rather a good repute as reasonably made vehicles. I would say this is probably a little bit better than a Ford. It certainly feels better made than a Ford, with better quality interior. But there's not really a big line between the both of them. It's certainly less tacky inside than a Kia. I think this is a difficult car to review because people who drive Toyotas probably have been driving them for many years, or they've certainly had a few of these cars. Look, the Japanese cars, they don't seem to break down anywhere near as much, especially Honda and Mitsubishi. But if you're looking for a car for running people around in, that's spacious, then this is a good car for it. But it's a boring car to drive, and I wouldn't say it's enjoyable to drive at all. I'm not getting a lot of affinity with this car as I drive along. It doesn't seem to really complement anything it does. The steering's okay, but you got a bit of a wobble, bouncy shock absorbers. Personally, if I was driving this car a couple of hundred miles on the motorway, I would be bored of this car within 10 minutes. So if you're going to go for one of these cars, you really want to test drive it first, because there is an overwhelming element of blandness about this vehicle, and I think that's probably about as honest as I can get. But at the same time, it is a reasonable product. This is a reasonable car with reasonable qualities, but if I had a family in this car or a group of people, I wouldn't feel confident in swerving in it.